Hello, everyone. My name is Elijah, and I identify as a Mexican American woman. The racial identity development theory introduced in Module 2 helped me reflect on how my understanding of race has evolved over time. Growing up in a predominantly Latino and Black community, my racial identity has always felt normal. I didn't initially view being Mexican American as something that made me different. But as I got older and moved through different places, I started noticing how others perceived me based on my race and ethnicity. My racial identity development has been shaped by my family's values, our cultural pride, and also by experiences of being stereotyped or overlooked. Race has framed my identity by teaching me to be proud of where I come from, but also aware of how systematic racism continues to marginalize people of color. I think I first truly was aware of my racial self in middle school, when classmates would make jokes about Mexican food or how I have an accent. Small comments that made me realize how different race was to society, and it often created separation. As a recent experience that really deepened my awareness of institutional and interpersonal racism happened when my family and I went to Applebee's in Clovis, California. While we were waiting to leave, another older diner told us to go back to our country. The employees nearby said nothing until we brought it up. That moment was deeply humiliating and painful, but only because of what was said, not only because of what was said, but because of the silence from others who could have intervened. I believe if my family wouldn't have said anything, the cops wouldn't have been called. And also, when the cops got here, they never spoke directly to us. They only spoke to the manager. So it wasn't a good feeling that they just left him off with a warning. At this time, I was in early adulthood, which Erickson describes as a stage of intimacy versus isolation. This stage focuses on forming meaningful relationships and developing a sense of belonging. Experiencing racism during this stage has affected my sense of connection and safety in public spaces. It's also reinforced how people of color, especially those who are immigrants or first generation, have to fight to belong in environments that were not built for them. Kalavsky explains that critical race theory, also known as CRT, offers social workers tools to recognize how systematic racism is woven into institutions and social policies, not just individual interactions. Through this lens, the Applebee's experience was more than an isolated incident. It was a reflection of how power and privilege operate to normalize racist behaviors, while silencing marginalized voices. Similarly, Anima, Connor, and Ferry discuss the framework of ability critical race studies, which examines how racism and ableism intersect to maintain inequality. Although my experiences wasn't connected to disability directly, his focus on intersections of identity helped me see how racism is rarely experienced in isolation. It is tied to language, class, gender, and even perceived social status, all of which affected how people are treated in public and institutional spaces. Looking back, I've realized that my silence during that moment came from shock and hurt, but also from internalized belief that staying calm was safer. If I could go back, I would have responded differently, not with anger, but with calmly calling out the behavior and holding the staff accountable for allowing it to happen. I would also have reported the incident directly to the police myself and made it more clear that the racial harassment cannot be normalized or be ignored. As a future social worker, CRT challenges me to not only recognize racism when I see it, but to actively disrupt power structures that perpetuate inequality. One action I can take is to advocate for anti-racist policies and trainings in community spaces and organizations where I work. This includes helping staff recognize microaggressions, promoting bystander intervention training, and supporting diverse representation in leadership roles. Experiences like the one that I went through remind me why representation and awareness matter, not only for my own healing, but for creating spaces where for future generations of Mexican American families so they can feel respected, safe, and valued. Thank you.